The Evil Geniuses players for WCS are Jaedong and Alive. Revival was really close to getting top 16 and playing at BlizzCon, but unfortunately he did lose to Alliance's Naniwa 3-0 in the tiebreaker, but he was really close.
Alive has had a really interesting year. He's had some really high highs where he played phenomenally well and defeated players like Scarlet at WCS NA. He always suffers from being kind of a quiet guy and kind of a guy that just silently likes to be really good at StarCraft, which results in people kind of counting him out or forgetting about him. And unfortunately for him, BlizzCon was a little bit more of that. On the second stream, he got beat pretty hard by Polt, and that was his story. That was his journey here. Any tournament that Jaedong enters, I always feel like he's capable of winning it. But I always knew that it was going to kind of be a question of which Jaedong showed up. There's the one that has a lot of confidence, is mixing it up, he's mixing it up appropriately. Then there's the Jaedong that kind of hits a wall, like a Bomber or a Polt, and gets 4-0'd or 3-0'd and doesn't really make it much further than that wall. So I knew that that was an element that was going to be a risk there.
Jaedong against MVP is kind of a clash of the new Titan and the old Titan. Jaedong's really hard to play against because he's a series type player. So often he can like 10 pull you, he can 6 pull you, he'll like read you. But one of the fortunate things for MVP is he's really crazy too.
I feel like Jaedong lucked out a little bit getting MVP first. MVP is a good opponent, but he's been better, and it's a Terran player that I feel like Jaedong could manhandle, and he did. So that gave him a lot of confidence. His next opponent was the exact opposite. It was Deer, someone that's absolutely disgustingly good at the game. So it wasn't looking good, but when Jaedong entered into that series and was ahead in the first 3 games, and then ended up winning the series, I knew at that moment that there was a very good chance that he could go on to win the tournament. And sure enough, his next opponent, Maru, a very good Terran player, but again, I felt like on paper a very good opponent for Jaedong. Jaedong was able to take that series quite handily as well. And with that kind of momentum behind him, I really felt like he was going to win this thing, despite how good SOS is. But I had a sinking feeling when in that game number 1, Jaedong's ahead, but SOS claws back. That's so demoralizing, it's very hard to come back from. And I feel like that was one of the things that ended up taking the wind out of his sails a little bit and slowing down his momentum.
Jaedong lost the first 2 maps, I believe. In the second map, he was really, really far ahead. Then the third game, he managed to pull it back, and it looked pretty good again. It looked like momentum was like building up and such, but SOS was just really, really strong, and Jaedong is living up to the silver medal Kong, I guess.
It's just really disappointing. It's his like 4th or 5th second place in a row, and me and DeMusliM went up to him after his game and just gave him a pat on the back, and he just looked completely defeated. It was kind of sad.
$45,000 is a lot of money, so I'm sure that'll help make him feel a little bit better. But Jaedong, with this continuing streak of being so close but still getting stopped, it absolutely is taking a toll on him.
It could be like a superstitious thing where it just keeps happening and it's reinforcing itself. But Jaedong is a very mentally strong player, and I'm hoping it is an obstacle he can overcome.
Jaedong, 2nd place in WCS ranking overall. The last 5 tournaments that he's entered, 2nd place. Just broke the record for the highest earning gamer of all time over Fatality, which is really, really cool. And I know that he will overcome the 2nd place finishing spree, I guess, that he's been having, but swell guy.
If Jaedong's best accomplishment was to take 2nd place at BlizzCon, he would not cease to be my favorite player in the entire world. He focuses, he works hard, he represents gaming very well. Winning has allowed him to be on a bigger platform to show that kind of an example, and that makes me all that much more proud to support him. And of course, that's how I came to know him as well, is because of how much he won. But I'll be here when he wins, and I'll be here when he loses.